I'm not in a hurry. Do you want to use these?
Yeah, I'll use mine here. I'll trade you that. That one's mine.
Okay.
So.
I'm sorry?
We're in
Left Shalom, yeah.
Okay, cool. I guess the email erroneously said Mishkan's Field. Most of it doesn't seem like.
Was I too loud last time?
Last week on Saturday?
Like on Saturday?
No, I didn't think so.
Okay. I felt like it was kind of blowing up.
No. Always adjust it, but I thought you were just. Okay, we got 1 minute, and we'll start.
Is this picking me up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome. Hope a few more people will join us. It's nice to be with you all. We're in Siddur Lev Shalem, which is our more traditional Siddur. We do that service once a month on Friday nights. And Cantor Brown Levy, you look very different. This is Mark, in case you don't know Mark. He's a great member of our community, and giving Cantor a Friday night off as I took a few months off for family leave to give her a little bit of time, a Shabbat to recharge her batteries. And so we can begin with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, bringing in the light of what really Shabbat represents, I think, light and warmth, and hopefully that will resonate throughout the week for the rest of us. That will be the light onto the nation. So I will light those, and then we can say our blessing, and then I'll be calling page numbers as we begin our service.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. We are going to begin with Shalom Aleichem. One of the things we learn in Judaism is that when you are heading to the synagogue or out of the synagogue on Shabbat, it's like there's, if you've seen the cartoons, like a little angel and a devil, but we don't really use that terminology in Judaism, what we call the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Hatov, the inclination to do good on one shoulder and the inclination to do evil on the other. And so we try and focus on that Yetzer Hatov, that inclination to do good, and ask that angels bless us in the doing of good on our way. We're on the bottom of page 5 for Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
You're going to turn now to page 11 for Lechun Neranena.
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, nikad mafadav lepetoda. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, Izmirot Maria lo, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Continuing silently. On page 12 at the carrot.
12.
Page 12. Arba'im shana akut bedor, ve'omar am to'e levavhem, ve'hem lo yada'u dirachai, asher nishbati va'opi, Im yavo'un el menuchati.
We are going to turn now to page 13.
Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, asru miyom leyom yeshuato. Ahavu l'Adonai mishpachot amim, Havu l'Adonai kevod ve'oz, Havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, Seu mincha uvo'u lechatzrotav.
We'll turn now to page 14.
Join with me at the carrot. Yismechu hashamayim,
Hashamayim,
Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam umelo, Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam umelo, Yismechu hashamayim,
Hashamayim,
Yismechu hashamayim,
Hashamayim,
Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Livnei Adonai ki hiva, Lishpot haaretz, Yishpot tevel batzedek, ve'amim be'emunato.
15.
Adonai malach tagel haaretz, Yismechu im rabim. Continuing silently. Ohave Adonai Zinura, Shomer Nafshot Chasidav, Miyad Re'aim Yatzilehem, Or Zaru Ala Tzadik, Ud Yisrael Lev Simcha, Simchu Tzadikim Ba'adonai, Vehodu Lezecher Kodesho.
Page 17.
Shiru Ladonai Shir Kadash, Ki Niflaot Asa, Hoshialo Yumino, Uzroa Kadesho.
Bottom of 18.
Lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, ve'amim b'mei sharim.
19.
Adonai malach, yirgezu amim, yoshev keruvim, tanus haaretz. Continuing silently. Join with me at the bottom of page 20. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho.
Turn to page 21 for Lahadodi, and with Lahadodi, let's see, that is on, I got ahead of myself, so I will hold my thought until 23. We are on page 21, excuse me,
yeah.
for Psalm 29.
This is a tune that used to be really common at Kolami, but I haven't heard it in years, so hopefully you may have heard it and you can join it. Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, Havu l'Adonai kivod va'oz, Havu l'Adonai kivod shemo, Ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, El hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim, al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai bakoach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vaishaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Vayarkidehem kemo egel, Levanon vasirion, kemo ven re'emim. Kol Adonai chotev lahavot esh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh. Kol Adonai yachol el hayalot, vayechesov ye'arot, uvechalo kulo omer kavod. Adonai la'amu yashav, Vayeshev Adonai melech le'olam, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom, et amo v'shalom.
Now we'll turn to page 23. And one of the things we learned is that I asked a bunch of children this. We had last week we were led by a whole bunch of children. And For those of you who are here for the first time this evening, what we're doing tonight is our once monthly traditional Shabbat. This will probably be the last of those, though, until at least the fall, and the rest of our Friday nights using the Mishkan Tefillah Siddur. But I asked this group of kids last week and said that there's this Jewish story that each of the days of the week paired up with another day. And so, for instance, Sunday paired up with Monday. Tuesday joined up really quickly with Wednesday. And Thursday with Friday. But what was the problem with pairing up the days of the week? It's uneven. There's an odd number of days. And so what we learned was Saturday, Shabbat, was all by itself. And this was very sad. And God said, I will pair up with you. I want us to be together because you are the most perfect day. You are a day to rest. You are a day to appreciate all the other days of creation. And so with Hadodi, what we learn is that we are witnessing that coming together of God and Shabbat. And it's like we're all guests at this union, which feels almost like a wedding. We're on page 23. We're going to do verses 1 and 2 on 23, and then jump to verses 8 and 9 on page 25, I believe. Mark,
Okay.
is that what we agreed on?
That's good enough.
All right. I'm sorry. I read that wrong again. I don't know how to read. It's been a long time. We'll do 1 through 5 and then 8 and 9. Go.
Okay, all right. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabla. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki hi mekor habaracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof maaseh b'machshava tehila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha, Umitzeim etoch ha'hafecha, Rav lach shevet ba'emek habacha, Vehu yachmol alayichem la. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
24.
Hitna'ari me'afar kumi, Likshi bigdei tifartecha mi, Ayed ben Yishai beit halachmi, Parva el nafshi ga'ala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, Ki va'orechu mi'ori, Uri, Shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
25.
Yamin usmol tifrotzi, ואת אדוני תעריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה.
We rise and face the entrance to greet Shabbat. You can rise physically or in spirit.
בואי ושלום, עטרת כלה, גם בשמחה ובצלה, טוב אמונה עם סגולה, בואי הלאה, בואי הלאה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקבלה.
You may be seated. We turn to page 27 for Psalm 28.
טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות. Continuing silently.
Page 28.
Join me at the caret in the middle of the page. Tzadika tamar yifrach, ke'erez balvanon yizgeh, shetulim baveit Adonai, v'chatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, od yenun v'sheva, deshenim v'ra'ananim yiyu lehagid, ki yashar Adonai tzuri v'lo avlatavon.
And so we will turn to page 30. Mourners, those observing Yortzeit are welcome to rise. Yitkadav, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
Ve'almad, Divrach, Yirtei, V'imlich Malchutei, V'chayechon, V'yomechon, V'chayei Dechol, Beit Yisrael, V'agala, V'yisman Kari, V'imru.
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivarach Le'olam Omei Almaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh, Yitadar V'yitalei V'yitalal Shemei Dekudishah B'rechu, Le'ela Minko B'chata V'shirata, Tush B'chata V'nechemata, Ta'amiram Be'alma V'imru.
Amen.
Yehei Shlama Rabbamin Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru.
Amen.
Osei Shalom B'imromav, Uyasei Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru.
Amen.
You be seated, and I'll offer a little teaching. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, you can
Park over here.
go hang out over there. That's
Okay.
fine. Well, over the past year, I've gotten a lot of attention because I've gone to different corporations and schools and churches to do a presentation on what is anti-Semitism, what are the roots of anti-Semitism, and how do we combat anti-Semitism. And one of the things that I talk about a lot is economic anti-Semitism, this myth that Jews control all the world's money and banks and things like this. And what is the origin of that trope that has caused so much harm over the generations? Well, what it is was that during the Middle Ages, Jews were not allowed to really be involved in other professions. They couldn't become doctors or lawyers, their loss. They couldn't become, they couldn't become teachers. They couldn't become other types of professionals. But Christian law at the time was that there was a law that you could not do usury. What is usury? Usury is giving a loan out and charging interest. Now let me ask you a question. If I were to ask you for $1 million loan and said, in 10 years I will pay you back $1 million, would you do that? Nope. Why not? No interest. Okay. So first of all, it's like, well, what does that benefit you, Dove, if you give me $1 million and then I give you $1 million back in 10 years? You're just kind of out $1 million for 10 years. But why else is that a bad deal? Inflation, right? $1 million today is not going to be worth what $1 million is in 10 years. So, as a result, if Christianity banned usury, they weren't going to be giving out any loans. However, Jews were allowed to do usury. So what happened was Jews were pigeonholed into really the only job that they could have was giving out loans, because nobody else would do it. And I don't know about you, I've taken loans out in my life. I've taken a mortgage, I've taken student loans, and when I get that loan, I'm so happy. I'm like, yes, I can buy this house. I can, go to school. But then when it comes time to pay that loan back, and I took a $20,000 loan in college, and they said, well, you now owe us $23,000. And then I give them $1,000 and say, great, now you owe us $22,800 or something like this. You're like, wait a second, you're taking advantage of me. And all of a sudden, you don't see your loan company as super nice and generous, but rather as greedy. And that is what started this anti-Semitic trope that has continued throughout centuries, that was promoted through the idea of the Shylock in Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice. And finances, so we learn that finances can be a source of conflict between people. But in particular, they can be a source of conflict in families. Maybe all of us have experienced that at some point or another, conflict with a relative or family member over something financial. Basically a rule I have pretty much is, if a family member comes to me and says, Sam, will you invest in this with me? I'm going to be like, no, I don't want to do that, because I don't want things to go south in our relationship and have that be a source of tension. Because what we see throughout Genesis is that our history, and beyond Genesis, we see it throughout the whole Torah, and then King David and his sons and others. There's a lot of familial strife in the biblical tradition. In fact, when I give the blessing on Friday night to my daughters, the blessing I give my daughters is, may God make you like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. I don't have any sons, but if I did, do you know what the blessing would be that I would give to my son? What would you think it is after what I just told you? The patriarchs, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but it's not. It's not. It's, may God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. Who are these guys? Latter-day Saints always their ears perk up, honestly, because those are the two tribes that Latter-day Saints claim to have lineage from. So I would just try and be like, may God make you like Latter-day Saints. Great volunteerism and charity. With Ephraim and Manasseh, these were the two sons of Joseph. And we read about them at the very end of the book of Genesis. And Genesis has been full of brothers literally killing each other like Cain and Abel, or trying to kill each other. Isaac and Ishmael, Jacob and Esau, Joseph and his brothers. And at the very end of Genesis, we read about these two brothers that love each other, Ephraim and Manasseh. And so we tell our sons, that's who we want you to be like. And what the message there is that within Judaism, we want to create shalom bayit, peace in our household, and peace especially between our family members. So while Judaism allows for usury, the charging of interest on a loan, the Torah in this week's Torah portion, we have a double portion, Bahar Pahukotai, but specifically in Bahar, towards the end of Leviticus, says that when a family member is in dire straits, like their house is being foreclosed on, they're being evicted, they're going to be out on the streets, we as family their family members are the ones who are obligated to be the first to step forward and help them. But also it continues then and says that it is forbidden for family members to charge usury to other family members. You cannot give somebody in your family a loan and charge interest. You do that to somebody else, but like if my brother needed $1,000, I can't give him $1,000 and then charge him interest. That's forbidden. And there's an idea there. Even though we learn in the Talmud that it says, Kol Yisrael Arvim Zeh B'Zeh, every Jew is responsible for one another. And so some people apply that to all Jews. That family is family. And family are the people that you take care of first. And that you can't take advantage of people who are family. Because ultimately, let's think about it, the best thing you can have in Judaism is that when you die, your memory is for a blessing. And there are so many people I've met where they tell me, oh, I became a bar mitzvah at that synagogue, this synagogue in Los Angeles. I go, I know Los Angeles. Who was the rabbi that did it? It was like 20 years ago. I don't remember his name. Jewish guy? I don't know. I don't know what his name was. And that tells me that I'm sure there's going to be students who do remember me, but in 40, 50 years, there's going to be lots and lots of students out whose B'nai Mitzvah I trained them for, where somebody goes, what was the rabbi's name who did the bar mitzvah? I don't even remember what his name was. I don't remember. Maybe it was Cohen or something. I don't know. But my family and your family, those are going to be the people who remember you most of all. And will they remember you for a blessing or not? That's the question. And so when it comes to our family members being in trouble, being in financial trouble, what we're challenged to do, especially as we're reading about this in Leviticus, is having just come out of Egypt, is we're supposed to remember the Exodus and not in a state of our family members' vulnerability become pharaohs over our own family. We cannot become a pharaoh to our own family. We cannot exploit somebody in our family's vulnerability and then have them be indentured to us in perpetuity, because that's the challenge that we see right now with student loans or with some of these loan shark places, is that once you take out a loan, you never get out of debt because of the interest on top of interest on top of interest. And so for us, it's important for us to think about what's more valuable and what's more important than money. And that can be not only the success and well-being of those we care most about, but also the way that they remember us. Will they remember us as generous and kind? and for a blessing, or as their Pharaoh. Shabbat Shalom. We are going to turn now to the Baruch Hu on page 39a. I'll invite you again in spirit or physically to rise.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed.
You may be seated. We continue with our blessing for the evening, the Mariv Aravim, right below.
ומעביר יום ומהביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים.
Page 40 for Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקך. ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
41.
אל מלך נאמן. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, ושבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Continue on page 42, silently. אני אדוני אלוהיכם
אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Continuing silently.
Page 44.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם, משה ומרים ובני ישראל לכהנו שירה, בשמחה רבה, ויאמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה, זה אלי אנו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
45.
השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לשלום, והעמידנו, מלכנו, לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום, מעתה ועד עולם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום, עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, הפורש סוכת שלום, עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
46.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו V'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם.
Scottish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, יעמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכו בית ישראל, בעגלה בעגלה, ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו Amen.
We rise for silent Amidah, page 47 through page 52, or you can use this as an opportunity for your own private prayers. And when you're finished, you may be seated. We are going to continue on page 53.
ויחולו השמיים
Please rise.
והארץ וכל צבאם, לכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה. וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Konei Shamayim va'aretz. Magen Avot bidvaro, Mechaye metim b'ma'amaro, Ha'el HaKadosh she'en kemohu, Hameniach le'amo, B'yom Shabbat kodsho. Kivam ratza lehaniach lachem, Kivam ratza lehaniach lachem, לפניו נעבוד ביראה ופחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד, מעון הברכות אל ההודאות. אדון השלום, מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי, ומניח בקדושה, למדושני עונג, זכר למעשה בראשית.
54.
אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, רצי ומנוחתנו, קודשנו במצוותיך, ותן חלקנו בתורתך. צבענו מטובך ושמחנו בישועתך, וטהר ליבנו לעבדך באמת, והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון שבת קודשך, ינוחו וישראל מקדש שמך, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Shalom.
יתקרא ויתקדש שמי רבה, וילמד יברך ירותי וילמיך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב כמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיא, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו, לאל אמין כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמא ויאמרו, אמן. תתקבל צלותינו ובאותינו בכל ישראל, קדם אבוהון דבשמיא ויאמרו, אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיא, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו, אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו, Amen.
Kiddush is on 55.
Sabri.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho b'ahava u'vratzon, hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom tehila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, ve'shabat kodeshecha, ve'ahava u'vratzon, hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
L'chaim. We remain standing as we jump to page 63, as we are good. As we are in the midst of the counting of the Omer, page 63.
Okay. I'm about to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer, as it is written in the Torah. You shall count from the eve of the second day of Pesach, when an Omer of grain is to be brought as an offering, 7 complete weeks. The day after the 7th week of your counting will make 50 days. Do I say this even in mitzvah?
Sure.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer.
Page 69. Today is 22nd of ER.
So today is 37 days, 5 weeks, and 2 days of the Omer. Hayom shiv'ah ushloshim yom shehem hamisha shavuot u'shnei yamim la'omer.
There you go. You may be seated. With that, before we conclude our service, Mark, I want to thank you so much for filling in for the cantor. You've done a beautiful job as always. Like I said, this will be this is our monthly traditional service. We do this once a month, but we'll be holding off. This will be our last one of these until at least the fall. I see also from our board, Dove Delay. Dove, did you want to make the announcements? All right. There we go. That's why I went to school, to be able to read this. So, I want to thank everyone who came to our 50th anniversary gala the other night. We were sold out, 315 people, I think it was, and some real big leaders in the community. Everyone seemed to have fun, and we also exceeded our goal by like $50,000, what we fundraised, and so that was amazing and inspiring. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel very confident that we have a strong 50 years ahead of us. And this summer, we're introducing Camp Kolami for children going into grades 1 through 7, the week of June 26th through 30th. Each day, we'll explore Judaism and build and strengthen bonds within our Jewish community. Join us for the whole week or even just a day. Registration closes on June 1st. Our next Rosh Chodesh event, which is our women's events, are on Tuesday, May 16th in Esther's Garden. On Wednesday, May 17th, from 5 to 6 p.m., parents are invited to a panel discussion on child and adolescent mental health. I'll be moderating that, and our board member, Carl Smoot, who's a mental health professional, will be on our panel, along with other experts. Our next Shir Shabbat, so next week we'll hopefully have a pretty big turnout for Friday night, because we have our Shir Shabbat, which is when we have our band and a lot of music, and then following our service, we'll be having dinner in the shul. Dov, are you making dinner in the shul next week? No. Okay, gotcha. So come next week and join a whole bunch of people as we have that monthly celebration. That's always a lot of fun. Now, speaking of feeding you all, on the last day of religious school is May 21st, and everyone is invited to our end of the school year party and barbecue as our 137 religious school kids finish up another great year. Following the party at 12:30, adults are invited to stay for IBM and the Holocaust with New York Times and global best-selling author Edwin Black. That should be a really fascinating presentation he does from, like I said, a world-renowned author. On Wednesday, May 24th, seniors age 65 plus are invited to our Shavuot Lunch and Learn that I'll be teaching. Looking forward to that. And services for our Shavuot are on May 25th at 8:30 p.m. along with a panel discussion on compassion reflected, I gotta check that time, I don't know if that time is accurate, reflected from the Torah and Ruth and what it means. I think the service is actually going to be at 9 o'clock. They need to correct that. And there will be a panel discussion beforehand. And then following the service, I'll be doing some teaching, as will the cantor. And then we will have on Friday, May 26th at 9:30 a.m., first day Shavuot services, and on Saturday, May 27th at 9:30 a.m. Shavuot Day 2 services along with Shabbat and Yizkor services, and that's going to be led by our 10th grade confirmation class. And on the evening of May 27th, at 6:30 p.m., we'll have a very short service followed by about 20 minutes or so, followed again by Edwin Black, New York Times bestselling author, who is going to be leading a discussion on International Farhud Day. In case you are not familiar with the Farhud, that was a tragic pogrom that took place against the Jewish community in Baghdad in the 1940s. And so he'll be talking about that and his efforts to get that day recognized. And our congregational trip to Israel with me is just a couple months away. We still do have a few spots open. And so come talk to me if you're interested in joining that. We have the full itinerary and registration info on our website. Thank you all for being here, and to all of our volunteers and donors, we appreciate you. And again, Mark, thank you so much. We are going to turn to page 56 for Olenu. And again, I invite you to rise physically or in spirit as we open the ark.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, lateit gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam, ve'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו,
You may be seated. This time we think of those whom death has recently taken from us, and those who have died in this season in years past, and those who we draw into our heart with our own as we remember them. If you hear the name of a loved one, you're invited to rise upon hearing their name. In the period of Shloshim, the 30-day period of mourning, we remember David Plotkin, father of Gabe, Kaya, and Jude Plotkin, and former spouse of Tracy Plotkin, and also Pat DeLay, mother of Dove DeLay. And Dove, let us know how we can be there for you. In this week, we commemorate the following Yortzite's anniversary of the passing of these loved ones: Tima Agus, Elaine D. Armour, Elaine Boxer, Frank Braun, Charlotte Dane Brodkey, Anthony Tony Cook, Sarah Durone, Mauricio Tolfano, Rose Filer, Nancy Foote, Jeffrey Fuden, David Geldzoller, Sally Ginsberg, Marvin Goldberg, Morris Goldberg, Leo Goldsmith, Clara Grossman, Morris Hayden, Larry Horn, Fanny Karasik, Alan Keston, Rachel Levy, Abbott Lipsky, David Miro, Herman Audenheimer, Frankie Pratt, Bernice Rowe, Lena Rosen, Samuel Ross, Jacob Siegelbaum, Fanny Boots Spitzer, Clara Teutsch, and David Zinnick. And if you have a name to add, you're invited to rise and share with us. Zichronam Libracha, may their memories be for a blessing. If you're in mourning or your tradition do so, you're invited to rise. We're on page 58. Yitkadah, Yikadash, Shemerabah, Be'alma Divrach Yirte, Be'imich Malchute, Chaychon of Yomechon, Uchayedechol Be'Israel, Ba'agala Vizman Kari Be'imru, Amen. Yesh Me Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Omei Omaya, Yitvarach V'Yishtabach V'Yipa'ar V'Yitrumam V'Yitnaseh, V'Yithadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shemei Kudashah Barechu, Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram be'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, ve'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mroma, lo ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace all who are mourning comfort those of you who are bereaved. Again, we say amen. Mark, do you have a concluding song for us? Oh, say shalom, those words we just ended on. You can find them on the last paragraph of 58. Oh, say shalom.
Ose shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, ve'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
everybody.
shalom.
Thank you, Ishka. I'll see you tomorrow.
Too, yeah.
Great job.